republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start off our meeting with some wonderful celebratory recognition. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. It's nice to see everybody. First up, we'll be recognizing a retiring staff member, Denise Doobie. Denise, can you stand so everyone can see you? Thanks for being here, Denise. So I'm happy to acknowledge and celebrate Denise, who will be retiring at the conclusion of this school year. Denise was hired in February of 2013. I had the pleasure of working with her in the capacity of building principal at LES. During her time as an instructional assistant at LES, she's dedicated her time to providing the best possible assistance to teachers and care for students. Mrs. Scorso and Ms. Dalia state that Denise has always been student-centered, asked questions on how to best help students, and was always welcome to PD and training opportunities to best assist her students. As a colleague, she has always been warm, positive, and kind to others. We wish Denise the best of luck in her future endeavors and thank her for her efforts while being a part of the Lebanon Public Schools team. And Denise, we do have a plant for you. I'll bring that back.
Yeah, go ahead, Kathleen. Thank you, Denise.
Before I do the next recognition, just quick sidebar. Thank you to Mr. Apicelli and Ms. McCarthy for last night's award ceremony. These next two honorees were busy last night getting up from their seats to be awarded last night. I'm glad to take some time tonight to be able to award them as well. So this is for the CIAC Scholar Athletes, and first is Kristen Goodrich. This is from Coach Gray and Fields. Kristen has been a stellar student athlete over the past 4 years, performing at the top level both on the track and in the classroom. Kristen has been a member of the indoor track team for 4 years and cross-country and outdoor track for 3. She is the indoor track record holder for high jump and long jump, and is the outdoor track record holder in the triple jump. In all 10 of her seasons, she has qualified for the Class S state meets in both the individual and relay events. Outside of athletics, she is a model student working hard in honors and AP classes, as well as being heavily involved as a member of the school community. Through her time at Lyman, she's been involved in the organization and execution of many school activities and events. In the classroom, she was very thorough in her planning and meticulous with the quality of her work. These traits have helped her to be very successful in the completion of many quality projects in her Introduction to Technology Education class. She has demonstrated excellent talent in her computer-aided drafting classes the last 2 years in both architectural and mechanical design. Congratulations, Kristen.
Sorry, a little late. There you go.
And next up is Bennett. Bennett, could you stand first so that... All right. This is from Coach Gomez. Bennett has participated on the Lyman baseball team for the past 4 years. He's always been a consummate team player. He's very self-motivated, putting forth his best effort on a consistent basis. He has been immensely respected by his teammates and coaches. Coach Gomez feels extremely fortunate to have had him in the baseball program and says, "Our success has been a reflection of the type of person and character traits he has." From Coach Lorenzo and Coach Bailey, over the last 2 years, Bennett has been what every coach dreams of for their athletes in their program. When I think of Benny, I think of his leadership, professionalism, and great overall young man. Bennett was not always the most vocal individual when he first played, but he has developed that skill along the way. Being put in tough situations and being challenged every day in practice and in games during a year in which we were lucky to have a season. Bennett was not known for his scoring ability or would light up, not known for his scoring ability or lighting up the scorebook, but Bennett was the glue guy for us here at Lyman. Although basketball was not his main sport, he would tell you that himself. His love for the game and love for the team was far beyond what anyone would think. He was someone you could count on, someone who would pick you up, someone who would teach you how to work hard on something and how to run the play. So when I think of Bennett, I think of how he was that glue guy that held this team together this year as the lone senior who played the game for the love of it all. Congratulations, Bennett.
Congratulations, guys. So at this time, we would like to recognize our own student representative who has done a fabulous job. We're so grateful for you coming to every meeting and providing the board strong updates for not only the high school, things that are going on in the high school, but in the middle school and elementary school. I know that I speak for the board when we say we're so grateful to you and your communication, your, acting as liaison between the students and us. Every time you gave a report, I knew that it would be, something worth celebrating. So thank you so much, Rachel, for sitting on the board with us. I know Board of Ed meetings can be pretty dry for seniors or for any student. So thank you so much. And we also have something for you. And I can also say that Rachel was doing a lot of standing in class. So thank you so much. You're a very busy lady, and we appreciate you. Mr. Welcome, Lexi. Great, we're excited to have you. Thank you. Thank you both so very much. Okay. We have one other little recognition, but I'm not going to make a big presentation, but I definitely wanted to represent, this is Andy's first year with us. I think that from where we started, 1 year ago, it's hard to believe that it's been a year already. But from where we've started to where we are right now, we're thrilled that Andy is on board with us, and he's done such a great job, and if the board will just help me in recognizing him. We got him a little flower. We're going to keep it over there. So thank you so much, Andy. And last but not least, we also, although she's not here tonight, maybe she's listening, we also want to say a huge, huge thank you to Chelsea. Chelsea is, if anybody doesn't know, Chelsea Williams is our administrative secretary. So basically anything a board member needs or asks for, she is proactive. She provides for us. She sets up the room for us. She just is two steps ahead of all of us for each meeting, and she takes really good care of things that we should be doing, and she's on top of her game so that we can be on top of ours. And without her, we wouldn't be able to have a successful board meeting. So Chelsea, if you're out there, thank you so much as well.
Yeah, if I could echo that sentiment in her role as executive assistant, she has us very prepared for every meeting. She's a great source of knowledge, and I'm thankful to have her on my team for sure.
Great. Thank you, Chelsea. And you'll take one of the gloves to her too tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, we have somebody else we'd like to recognize and introduce tonight. Me?
Welcome officially to Brian Green joining our Board of Education team. I had the pleasure of meeting with Brian last Friday afternoon at 3:45ish. Not the ideal time to set up a meeting, but we had a great conversation. I really think he's going to bring an outstanding background to our team, some leadership experiences, and just a love for Lebanon, and that's what it's all about. So Brian, welcome to the team.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is communication. We do have letters of resignation.
Yes, tonight we have 3 letters of resignation that I will share portions of with you. The first one is from Ashley Strange. She is sharing with us that she's resigning and would like to thank us for the opportunity. And she feels confident that she'll carry all her experiences into the next position that she has lined up. The next one is from Sean Lucas, who is a special education teacher at the middle school. Sean says during her time in Lebanon, she considers herself fortunate to have worked alongside some absolutely amazing instructional assistants, teachers, school staff, and administrators. It saddens her to leave behind the teammates, friendships, professional relationships that she built in district and the community. But just as she had the opportunity to grow professionally here at the elementary school and the middle school, she looks forward to growth within the school district. And the last one is from Lucas Pisano, who served as a math interventionist at the Lebanon Middle School. He wanted to say that he's appreciated the opportunity to have worked in the middle school and that he's gained valuable experience in his life.
At this time, we would like to open it up for public participation. The Board of Education, according to policy, allocates up to 30 minutes, with each individual speaker allocated 2 minutes each. At this time, are there any members of the public who wish to speak this evening? Seeing none, we'll move along to our consent agenda. Motion by John, seconded by Nicole. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Student representatives report.
I'll start with
Okay.
so at the elementary school, we had a walk. What's going on with all of the so because there was so much happening. The Pop Conference was the second that was on the phone. The addition of playing live, not technically part of the program, but still very fun. Mayfest was great. Yeah, everyone's definitely excited.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for that report, and congratulations on graduation next week. Great. We'll see you there. Okay, we'll move on to our reports of our committees. Janelle, do you want to start?
New course updates. We're going into the development program.
Any questions for Janelle? In a nutshell. Yeah, that's a good nutshell. Thank you. Dawn, safety and security.
This evening and executive session.
Thank you. John, Superintendent Eva. Question? Alexis, negotiation.
Negotiation did meet. We are discussing the contract. It's on the
Thank you. Maureen, policy.
Alternate, we have policies for first reading tonight, and we have some for second reading, so we'll be back on that.
Busy committee. Nicole and John, finance and facilities. John.
Okay, so Andy and Sarah and I met briefly on May 31st just to talk about game plan, budget. Because at the time it was still 1.1 guys on how to move around some things with the budget so that we can have a successful next year. Tonight we met, the first thing we talked about was the press box on the baseball field, and basically the plan is to start next month getting the press box all set up so that it can be used in April or whenever the baseball season starts next year, and also a plan on what we will do with the softball area, seating for them as well, and some sort of press box. We also talked about the landscape bid, which our contract is up on June 30th. So most likely we will be looking at Powers Outdoor Services for almost $65,000. We then talked about some of the contracts that are up for preventative maintenance and the district heating and hot water. There will be a 3% increase and a 1-year extension. And then finally, we talked about some of the grants that are coming up, or some of the legislation that is coming up to assist with our HVAC. So we're still waiting on applications from the state to apply, and then also the Biden-Harris bill is of 2022. That rolling.
Questions for Nicole? Okay, great. I know Andy will be talking about the budget, 22-23 budget in his upcoming report. We may have some discussion about that if need be. Brian, welcome.
Thanks.
You don't have to give a report tonight. We'll put you to work soon, that's for sure. And Bruce, enrollment.
The enrollment committee did not meet.
Okay. All right. Governance, as far as governance is concerned, we do want to have a July retreat. I know Andy had thrown out a date. Do you remember what that date was offhand? It's the end of July. I believe it's July 28th.
Tuesday.
Yes.
I know that.
26th? Maybe someone could find that for me. I should have found that earlier. 26th? Okay, does that work for the board? July 26th?
What time?
Probably evening.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I'll have to check my schedule.
Okay. Maureen?
I expect so.
Okay.
You never know.
I can make it work as long as I have a time.
Okay, great. All right, so look for further details there. The idea is to have Rich come and do some Board of Ed member roles and responsibilities as kind of a refresher for older board members and a introduction for newer board members. Okay, and then we'll add on to that. Usually we look at our Board of Ed goals and just take a look at the goals, see if they need tweaking or changing as well. Okay, any questions on that?
This is all day, 7:26?
Most likely no, most likely evening, yeah. Yeah. Okay, as far as governance though, one thing I do want to mention in case anybody is not aware, the budget did fail. And the Board of Finance met again and are now pushing through a 2.5% increase for the Board of Education. We will go back to referendum on June 21st. Right? I said that right. Tuesday, June 21st. Okay? All right. Great, thank you very much. Let's move on to our administrators' reports. Oh, go ahead.
If I may, I did not ask the administrative team to put together a written report, so you're not missing anything from your packet, but that team is full of energy back there as we approach the home stretch of the year. So as always, if there's anything that they'd like to present, they're welcome to share tonight.
Hi, Jess.
Good evening. So we've been very busy at LES again this month for sure, and today we had our LES final assembly where we recognized our Huskies of the Month for April and May, and we also recognized our LES Teacher of the Year, Jen Olson, our STEM teacher. And then also we got to recognize our District Instructional Assistant of the Year from our school, Julie Lake. We also recognized our our subs that are often in the building almost every day, and we gave them a little gift for today to recognize them and appreciate all their efforts because we see them a lot. We had field day this past Tuesday, great success, great weather. We had our 3rd and 4th grade concerts last week and the week before. Great turnout for both events. Our LES art show was this past week as well. We are rounding out our last service project, so each grade level has done a service project throughout the school year. So this final service project is collecting cereal boxes, and that's for our local food bank. And then rounding up our last field trips, that will be tomorrow. Our 1st grade will go on to Meg's Point to finish up their animal studies. We've completed our end of the year assessment data, both for academic and SEL, and that will help us focus on interventions going into this fall for both SEL and academics. And of course, our 4th graders are rounding out the year. So we have our 4th grade celebration on Monday and our moving up ceremony on Wednesday.
Thank you, Jess.
for all that Jess just shared, she did find a way to stay out of the pie in the face contest and the dunk tank. Very well done, Mrs.
About
Corso.
that.
Very well done.
Good for you, Jess. We know who to go to next year.
Hello everyone, it's nice to see you. I haven't been here for a few meetings, so it's nice to get back in the groove and see you. I just want to add to Jess's report, you know, since we had COVID, so many things that were a regular way of life, like field trips and activities, you forget that kids haven't experienced those. And so we've had the events this year. It's been amazing to see the reaction of students because, to me, I forget, they've never done this before. And I'm kind of a funny note, I'm raising my grandson and he is in first grade. And I have been hearing about this field trip tomorrow for weeks. Are we going to fly there? Are we going to take limos? How do we get there? I wonder what it's going to be like. And it's just amazing when you look at what we do through the eyes of the students sometimes. It really gives you a unique perspective. So kudos to the L. And I also stopped in and saw their field day and I was amazed how they can keep those kids going in so many directions and keep it, you know, that well-oiled machine organized. So again, kudos to Jess and the elementary school. Again, I wasn't here last month because I was at the Teacher of the Year ceremony in Hartford. It was awesome. We had amazing guest speakers. The governor popped in his suit and sneakers like Andy's attire here. And no one expected him. He just came from behind the curtain and gave a nice speech. And then there were several other speakers that were amazing. I was there because, again, due to COVID, Mrs. Strong, who had been a state finalist, never got to be recognized in the previous year. So they had a really nice ceremony, and for people like her that were state finalists, they took it a step further and like had her bio on the screen and talked about her, etc. So it was a really nice night at the Bushnell last month. I'll go through so many things that have been going on at the school over the month. It's been a lot of activities. We had the 8th grade job shadow that was in the gym, and that was awesome to see the 8th graders where they research different careers, and the whole project actually starts in 7th grade through the career development process. And then for the 8th grade job shadow, they actually shadow different people, organizations, workers, etc., and present how the experience went. We had our music concert at Lyman, and we had a last-minute switch. We had been hoping to do it outside, and it was raining that day, so we had to switch to the auditorium, so it was packed. But it was really nice to see a concert again from the middle schoolers. We had the 4th grade parent night recently. We did a different format this year where we introduced the parents to different aspects of the middle school by rotating them throughout classrooms. The night went well. It was peculiar in how low the attendance was for whatever reason. It was a time of year. There was a lot of, I know there were sports games that night, but it was a great night for those that did attend. I had a lot of positive feedback from the parents I spoke to in the hallways. We've had the 4th grade visit from the students that went very well. They were introduced to the school and the staff and enjoyed their visit. We had the 7th grade bike and hike with no injuries or issues, so that went well. The 8th grade celebration last Friday, I was here for that, enjoying it with the students. They had tons of activities, great music, great food, so that was a really nice night from 5 to 8 here. We've got our field days next week for all of the grades. We've got our promotion ceremony Thursday. The following morning on Friday, we will have an award ceremony for various awards that we give the middle school. Some have been set up through scholarship programs from different families that lived here in town at one point or still do. We recognize students based on criteria set by those families. We also will recognize our Teacher of the Year for the middle school during that ceremony is Amy Reynolds. I met with her, recognized her, and as did the superintendent. But we do it in front of the students too. We present her with her plaque and so forth. The students can also join in recognizing her. On the assessment front, we finally finished today. It's the latest we've ever finished, but because we started iReady new this year and implemented it in the fall as a new program, so it took some time to get the initial assessments going, then based on when your initial one is, it kind of sets the clock for all the future ones. So that put us into June. We're still doing assessments. We finished today. Next year, again, that'll be corrected because it'll be our second year using it and will be implemented sooner. But we did finish today, and the revamped intervention program has yielded great results from what I've looked at just this afternoon. We'll have some great information to share with you at the July meeting based on the new program we're using and the way we address it for our interventions. That's it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Ours will be the shortest one.
Jay, we've heard this.
Yeah, right.
I did want to point out, we have some obvious big events coming up. A week from tomorrow, we're going to be graduating out on the field out there, and that's always an incredible experience. It's an incredible, there's, I don't know, I can't explain it. There's nothing like that. It's just it's a great, it's a great experience. Tomorrow, we have our senior banquet. So it's a kind of celebration of our seniors with our seniors. And then you heard about Saturday, how we have our, project graduation before graduation, but it works. It works, and we're happy that they're able to do that. I did want to point out, Rachel did such a fantastic job. There's not much to say. I do want to point out, though, that when we do our our May Fest, we also do an Ag Expo. So all the kids get a chance to see a lot of our students, SAE projects. And some of them are amazing, including the one that I got stuck behind on 207 out here, and it took me about 10 minutes to go from the center of town to the high school, which was posted on Facebook and Instagram. But it was a tractor, and it was going probably well below the speed limit.
We're all used to that, Jay. Let's just be real.
I was actually trying to get to work earlier. I got my son going, which is almost impossible, and it was funny. But I mean, that's amazing though, to see like all their projects out there and hearing the kids talk about them. I learned an awful lot about crayfish or crawfish, depending on how you say that. So there's some great things that are going on in this school, and the kids have some really interesting projects. And then if you saw Mayfest blows me away every year. If you haven't ever had a chance to see that, please do that. One of our students had these three-dimensional insects, and you had to see them. They were incredible, the detail that was in there. Some of the other projects, are AP art students and students in all of our art classes submitting stuff. Students in other classes, the tech ed classes, the 3D drawings from CAD that they did. It's amazing. So that's always a fun. May is a fun month, leading into always leading into an exciting June. And I've said my piece. Go.
For those of you who weren't at the awards ceremony last night, I do want to recognize Dave DeCarly. He was Lions Teacher of the Year, and he actually won District Teacher of the Year as well. So he will be speaking at our convocation in the fall.
Can I say something before you move on?
Of course.
I just was blown away by the fact that Dave has only been with us for a short amount of time, and every student stood up and gave him a standing ovation. If that doesn't speak volumes right there, so congratulations to him. That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I would add on to that after the awards night, which, by the way, when the year gets going, there's so much happening. Those nights are just a great moment to sit back and think about what an awesome group of kids we have. And I know that wasn't representative of everyone in this school or everyone in our schools, But it was just an awesome event, to be able to come together and celebrate. And we really do have amazing kids throughout this district to go along with fabulous teachers and support staff. But Dave, it was even difficult after the award ceremony to shake his hand formally because there were so many students going up to him to talk to him. So again, I think that speaks to the relationship he's formed with his students and the impact he's made. But yeah, congratulations to Dave.
Yeah, it was a very cool moment. I stole his emergency contact form and contacted his wife, and she came with his daughter. So they peeked around the corner as soon as I was announcing him. And, Dave was an administrator who left administration to go back into teaching because he loved it so much. So I think that speaks volumes about him. And our yearbook was dedicated to him after 2 years of being at Lyman.
That's even sooner, because, when they do that dedication, that's much earlier in the year when they make that decision to do that. So really, a little over a year, he made enough of an impact on those kids that they decided to do that.
Fabulous.
We're very lucky and we're excited for his speech.
Pressure. And it's amazing too, like Tim said, he was out of the classroom for a while, but if you spend time in his classroom, you would never know that. Like, his classes are so dynamic, and the jokes that he makes with them, his class is fun. Chemistry is fun. And that's what you would get if you saw him there. It's amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Can I speak from the town?
Sure.
Just another accomplishment is the Memorial Day Parade. So from the town, I just want to thank the chorus and the band for coming to the ceremony and performing there. And also, I wanted to let you know that BOAG actually won the float.
Yay!
They won that from Lyman, so that was great. And we are really looking forward to having bands back in the parade, marching hopefully next year.
Great. Nice. Thanks, Kathleen.
Can we make sure that Mr. Smith knows about that? Because I asked him, are we going to have a marching band? And he knew nothing about it. So can we make sure that he's informed about that? Because that is the highlight of the parade. I just want to say that the bands are the highlight.
Sounds good. Hi, Dawn.
Hello, everyone. So I just want to first start out, I'm finishing my 5th month, and I just really enjoy being here. The position is so rewarding professionally, and I work with such wonderful people. Every month when I go to write the board report, I start by looking at my calendar, and of course, there's a lot of things that I can't share. So I did that again this month, and just PBTs seem to be very prominent right now as we're trying to end the year. In May, I chaired 29, and this month 9 so far, so that's a lot of what I'm doing.
Wow.
I've also been doing a lot of end-of-the-year meetings with staff, which has been great to meet one-on-one with people. And then, of course, what you've been reading a lot about is CT SEDS. That's still a big topic. We finished up 11 IEP quality trainings over the course of the last few months, and then the first training for administrators was yesterday. And it does really seem like it's going to be very user-friendly, but just getting to that point is a little bit. There's a lot of consultations with Jacques and with my assistant Fran to make sure all the data's there and that everything's in order. So that's what we've been working a lot on. Of course, the committee worked on the instructional assistant of the year, which is Julie Lake, which Jess already told you about. And then some other things that are pretty exciting is that we were approved for DESA, which is a social emotional learning platform. So the state's approved us for 2 years, and we'll start that. It launches mid-July. We'll be using that next year. And then through the Connecticut Association of Schools, we also were approved for a new IEP implementation coaching program. So I'm going to have a coach to help us through that process through all 3 buildings. And then we've been working a lot on getting ready for ESY, which will run through the month of July. And then, if I flip my calendar, I have a lot of summer projects. So safety care is going to be, training for that will happen for a lot of the special ed staff. And we'll be working on an instructional assistant handbook. I'll be developing professional development for the implementation of the CT sets and the new IEP. And that's what I have for you.
Is that all? Thanks, Dawn.
I think I'm off the hook.
Yeah.
You're good. Go ahead.
If I could, I just want to thank the administrative team. I know I asked them to bring the energy tonight. They went above and beyond with all that they had to share. But just all in all, for a great school year. I mean, I think this year presented continued challenges on many levels. Being a building administrator is hard work on normal circumstances. I'm proud of that team back there, and thank you for your reports tonight.
Thank you, guys. And now, the report of the superintendent.
Sure. So our enrollment shows that we have the largest number of increase during the course of the year at the elementary school, as we've be expected with our ongoing screenings in the pre-K. We did have 2 additional learners join us in the month between May and June. So we're sitting at 359 students, which is up 22 from the start of the school year. At the middle school, we remain the same, and we had a freshman join us at the high school. But overall, from the start to the end of the year, we're up 14 students. On to our COVID-19 update, just sharing the latest dashboard information, which was updated today. We have 0 students or staff at the elementary or middle school who are out in isolation periods. We do have 4 students and 1 staff member at the high school. We did have a period of time for a couple weeks prior in which we were seeing some increased cases, but again, I just want to circle back to thanking the nurses, to the administrators, the staff in every one of the buildings, the students, and the families. We've had 452 total cases this year, and that number may seem alarming and high as we look at it on paper here, but being reflective on the impact and the way we were able to manage that as a district, as a community, and keep our learners in the building, in person, receiving that instruction that they know they benefit most from. Really impressed with everyone on the entire Lebanon Public Schools team. I do think, unfortunately, this may be something that will be more the norm, that we will have to continue to deal with, and there's no better team to be a part of as we move forward in those efforts. Any questions about COVID? All right, the 22-23 budget. I want to just thank the community for the support all along the way in the development of the budget, their input in the sessions that were provided, for their feedback, and for their ongoing support in meetings. I also want to thank the Board of Finance for their collaboration and responsiveness to the community support and for our ongoing advocacy. I know that the process is never easy, and this year it hasn't been easy, and we're not done yet. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do feel that at that last meeting was somewhat of a breakthrough in terms of the respectful back and forth that our Board of Education was able to have with the Board of Finance, and the reciprocation from the Board of Finance. Again, I understand the position that both boards are in. We're going to continue to push forward budgets that we feel help our students and our staff thrive and really grow and continue to be great. And the Board of Finance has to manage the entire town. So where we are right now, as we're awaiting the referendum on June 21st from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Fire Safety Complex, is at a 2.5, which is up from the original 1.13 that was proposed. I know that there has been a history in the district of when things go to referendum and things are voted down, that you don't receive more. and we're at a point where we've received more. And that is a credit to your hard work, to the community support. I do feel that 2.5, confident, will allow us to maintain all of our current staffing and our programming, as well as our supply request. It does limit some of the new initiatives that we've put out there, but given where we are in our world, in our economy, I think it's a very reasonable and responsible place to land, and I look forward to the results from this upcoming referendum. We were able to, through careful analysis throughout this process and thinking about the possibility of being brought down to that 1.13, to really look at our programming and our needs and make some reductions and think about other ways that things could possibly be funded. So even with the 2.5, I think we'll be able to incorporate some of the new initiatives in a limited fashion, as was highlighted in our curriculum subcommittee. Any questions about the budget? All right, at this time, if I could call Mr. Appicelli up, we're going to talk a little bit about our ASTE compliance report. Before we do that, if you did not see the Facebook post, it will also be in the superintendent update, which will be coming out shortly. We have some students that are heading to nationals. Our farm business management team placed second, but was given the opportunity to go because the District 2 took first place. Suffield could not send their team, and then the ag marketing team blew away the judges. They were actually marketing executives from Pepsi, and they were super impressed. So formal congrats to Sadie Boothroyd, Sarah Cropley, Aaron Grossman, and Becca Risley from the Farm Business Management team, and to Ella Allen, Laurelyn Boyer, and Rowan LaFleur for the ag marketing. And now we can talk a little bit about the compliance report. So this was a review that took place on April 5th through and April 7th. The review is required as part of the Connecticut General Statutes and the relevant regulations to the Connecticut State Board of Education concerning operation of a VOAG program. Harold Mackin from the state did put out a thanks to the Lyman staff for their preparation of materials preceding the review, and for the cooperation of our admin team, the teachers, and the staff throughout the process. In the review, which you have at your place, there are many commendations that I think we should take time to acknowledge the hard work that this team has put in under the guidance and leadership of Jay and Sam. But there are some compliance issues, and Jay can help speak to them, one of which was a racial and ethnic diversity plan that needs to be established, and the other was just providing consulting meeting minutes. Jay, please.
Yeah, so both of those are well underway. We did have conversations with Harold Mackin about getting some data to make sure that our program is similar to the surrounding areas in terms of our diversity. So he gave us some numbers, and then what we have to do is, try and recruit more. We do spend a lot of time recruiting. Our ag teachers go out to all of our sending towns, and they, we have our recruiting video that we show, we have our materials that we give them. And we're going to try and, like I said, become similar and have a similar population as our surrounding towns. We have some ideas. Andy has talked to some, maybe some potential things that we could do as well. I don't want to say them necessarily right here, but we have had conversations about things that we can do. And again, it involves going out and recruiting in other towns, which we are more than happy to do. So we are looking to improve upon that. The meeting minutes, we're gathering them. That's just, that's a small thing.
Yeah, something that's exciting, kind of connecting back to how our facilities have grown in the athletic department and venue, is the thought about some of the things we're looking to do to grow our program. So we are putting in a grant, Perkins grant, for a new barn. It would be a 30 by 40 foot metal barn. 8 stalls, a concrete floor, automatic water and electricity. It would allow us to expand to add 3 more species and allow more hands-on learning. So that application is already in process. I can envision looking out next year, right out these windows and seeing that barn as the sun sets at our meeting. So that positivity is going to get us that grant, and we're gonna get busy with that.
So that grant is for just a little under $50,000. And I actually had a conversation with Harold Mackin, who's also in charge of that grant. It's a Perkins supplemental grant. He was asking some questions about it, which is a good thing, because that means they're really looking at our grant, and, he's asking questions on, the different portions of it, so he's really looking at this. So my, fingers are crossed, and I'm hoping that this comes through. This actually came because of a recommendation from him. That's part of one of their things, to expand our program, and this just makes us even more marketable. We've had kids that are so excited, they're actually out researching where to get beef cattle, and we want goats, so there's all kinds of great things that are going to come about of this. And it's, again, who benefits? Our kids. And like I said, it's a grant. It's improving our program without spending any money, so I thank Brenda for putting this together, researching everything that you heard, all the things that Indy talked about that went into it. So this is going to be a great experience for our kids, and our kids are already talking about it. They can't wait.
Any questions about the compliance report or our action steps?
I have a question. The barn.
Yes.
Estimated time of completion?
We're hoping to get this done over the summer.
Get
the money, because there's a timeline that goes along with this grant. The money has to be encumbered. I want to say it has to be encumbered by September, and we have to have everything done, by November at the latest. So this is an aggressive timeline on their part. And so we're really going to be pushing to get this done.
Yeah, so we're trying to have that state of mind that we're going to get it. So we've had some meetings. We met with Kevin and Brenda out back, and it's going to be like a prefabricated unit that will more easily go together. We kind of have the sketches and everything ready. It's exciting, and we want to be ready if it does happen.
So with prices of equipment, not equipment, but supplies going up, 50,000 does not seem like enough. Do you have a backup plan of where the funds are going to come to finish the barn from our budget?
To be honest, I don't foresee even that coming out of our budget, because the ASTI grant that we currently have, we're utilizing that for the equipment for the landscape and turf management program. We're utilizing another part of that for personnel. But we're also getting more ASTI grant money because our ag program, as it grows, they supply more money, and then that overage is ours to spend on improving the ag program. So even if it does go up some money, there will be money within that grant to continue to.
Okay.
And we've also had conversations about some of the proposed elements that may not necessarily be needed immediately. Concrete floor within the barn, you don't necessarily need that to start. So not that we want to think about giving up anything, because you want to be able to try to do it right the first time.
Right.
But we're thinking about contingency plans as well.
Yeah. Are dairy cows part of the thought of maybe, having like a milking parlor out there? You got a lot of dairy boys coming up the ranks here.
We've heard a lot. We heard a zebra today, maybe, so we've heard it all.
Kids are very excited. Kids are very excited. This is an exciting time.
Good.
Do you need anything from us?
At this time, I'm going to say no.
Okay, keep us posted.
Yes.
It's exciting.
Yes. No, it is. It's very exciting.
Thank you. a couple times earlier today from the administrators, you heard about data that will be coming your way in July. I've had some conversation with Sarah about putting together an annual report because of the timing of the data and because we moved this meeting up a little bit. Would have been difficult to put together a comprehensive annual report, and I feel that's what you deserve. Just so you know kind of what to look for, taking some of the constructs from previous year's annual reports, because I know you had input on the format. So you'll see some elements from there, and we're going to try to add to it by having some more visual things to look at, because while the narratives are great, I think seeing our learners in action is really important as well. So we hope to have that done for the July board meeting, have it posted to our webpage for public viewing, and it should be a nice celebratory document. Any questions about that?
Great, thank you, Andy. All right, a facilities report.
Hello again. So under the SIP portion of the facility tracking list, I'm still waiting on bills for the electrical enclosures and the IR scan from Professional Electric. On a happier note, I got a date of 6/22, a start date from Hinding Tennis to do the repairs in the tennis courts at the middle school. They did get a deposit of $3,750. Then on the non-lapsing side of this document, Scholar Painting has promised to come out this week and fix the overhang at the high school. And that'll complete their work. And other than that, nothing has changed. And I did pass out the summer list to you guys, if you had any questions on that. I did want to add to the facility activity summer break 2022 list. We're going to be completing the fire marshal's list, the repairs that he gave us, and the maintenance requests from staff. We're going to be doing those as well.
I have a question. Kevin, where are we with the door replacement project? Are we all done with everything?
The door replacement project is done with the exception of what I put on the school, on this list right here. There's still a couple at the high school here. We want to do the one at the loading dock. We've had issues with that. And the one next to the generator exiting the building, there's nothing there. The outlets are there. That cost came in around $7,400, if I'm not mistaken. So I could take that out of, it's on the SIP list, I could take it out of SIP list or operating.
And that will be done this summer?
That's the plan, yes.
Any questions for Kevin? No? All right, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Finance report.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Here we have our May financials. It's been quite busy in our office as we try to wrap up the year and get ready for the dreaded June. But here's a snapshot of May. I will say that there are, as we close out grants for the year, there will be more adjustments that'll be reflected in June as that cash is received from the state. So those types of entries we don't see here exactly. We also, I didn't put on the update, but we did receive our last excess cost reimbursement dollar amount, which was from, it's line, sorry, I'm getting lost in my own document here. Here we go. Line 561, which was for the $44,893. That is significantly lower than we had projected, only because of the December filing. So as students change and services change, and students come and go, we are able to report them to the state twice a year. So after our December filing, that affects our last payment for excess costs. So the projected $458,000 was based on a different student base than we actually have sitting in our seats right now. So just so we know as we move to the end of the year that that total will remain for the rest of the year. We won't be expecting the full $458,000. But if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So it looks like we have a little less than what we'd had last May.
Right, and I do believe that's because of the grant adjustments that will be done in June.
Okay, so you're not concerned?
No, not right now.
Okay, great. Questions?
Val?
Yeah.
Did we lock into fuel costs yet?
We haven't. In the last 3 weeks, they've skyrocketed up near $5. We're all very, staying in close contact with the fuel companies. But Haley and I have been talking at the town, so it's a town decision.
Are you guys waiting until seeing what happens in the summer?
I guess so, but we really would like to lock in. I know the concern is you lock in, and if the prices go down in 8 months, then we're locked in at that rate.
Right.
The good news is I do believe we'll have some funding and operational to top off the oil tanks. Maybe not top off, but give some more oil this year to prep us for the fall. I think not having a business manager this time last year, we weren't able to do things like that, so we started the year not on empty, but low on supplies as far as custodial things and low on facility types things. So we're trying to kind of get us back to par and make those very smart decisions about what to do and what to spend to make sure we have a full stocked year as far as facilities is concerned for next year. And facilities including oil and things like that, so.
Questions? Any more questions, anybody? No?
I don't have fun reports, I'm sorry, guys. It's so exciting to listen to everybody else.
Not in a deficit, that's fun.
That is fun. Yeah. All right. All right, that brings us to new business. Maureen, do you want to speak to any of the new business policies?
Well, we have them all listed, and we have redlined documents to show the differences, the updates from what we got from Shipman and Goodwin, and so you should be able to cross-check those. Was there anything in particular, Andy, that we needed to? I don't think so. No. Just minor adjustments here or there. That high school graduation requirements, that has to get done soon because that legislation just came out that said we have to make some changes, so we got that one on the list. And yeah, first reading, so we'll just recommend you read them and we'll act on them next month.
So we'll get the first reading for the next meeting?
These will be the second reading next time. All these first, there's 1, 2, there's 5 first readings. And they'll be second next month.
They're in a different file.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
They're like sent as multiple attachments.
I'm just concerned about number 3, like how has that changed? Because I know that was a big concern and a parent spoke out about that. The student discipline.
Well, Andy has talked to one of the parents, and there was, we have the document, so you can see the difference. They added cannabis.
Yeah, I was going to say the biggest change you'll see there is around cannabis and discipline.
Is that it?
There's other minor word changes, but that is significant throughout the document.
Nothing about weapons or anything?
You want a quick?
No, there were not changes there.
The old definition of bullying was still in that student discipline policy. Also, that had to be updated. as well, even though our bullying policy was updated. The bullying portion of the student discipline policy wasn't updated yet, so now it has been updated.
Okay.
But the parents specifically, you can be general.
I think some of the concerns that were shared from the community members were around communication of those situations, which is more a administrative regulation that we can own and improve, and we will. The other thoughts from the community were possibly around the matrix regarding how you process through these situations, and our legal counsel did not recommend that. What was proposed in the newest policy is how they feel we should manage the situations.
Other questions, Nicole?
No, I don't know how to say this politically correct, so I'll maybe wait till next month.
Okay. Yeah, we do have another month to take a look
Yeah.
at it, so formulate your thoughts for sure. Any other questions, new business? All right, I've never seen 18 action items on an agenda before, but that's what we're about to. It's a lot of work, but we can do this.
Yep, let's go.
Okay, number one.
Can I make a motion?
Yes.
That we accept the letters of resignation with regret?
Second.
Motion by John, seconded by Nicole. Any discussion?
This is gonna go quick.
All those in favor of accepting the letters of resignation with regret, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. The next item, we need a little bit of background.
Yeah, sure. So we had made adjustments to the substitute wages earlier on this school year. I would like to acknowledge that there have been a few certified teachers who have come back to sub that were very appreciative of the change in rate. They felt that it was something that acknowledged their level of expertise, and they had joined our district as subs because of that. So I think that's a positive. As we had discussed previously, we were unsure of increasing the rate would necessarily mean we'd have an increased pool of subs. Unfortunately, we have not seen many more subs with the rate increase. That being said, we needed to increase it anyway to stay ahead of minimum wage. So you can see here that on July 1, 2022, minimum wage will be $14 an hour. So you'll see that our sub rates for custodians, secretaries, and instructional assistants in particular will need to move to meet those rates.
Questions on that? Go ahead, Bruce. Brian, sorry.
It starts with a B.
Sorry.
I answered this so many.
VR.
Sorry. Jill, whatever your name might be. Anyway, so my only question is that if and I understand we're compressing, the rates are going up because of minimum wage. But it doesn't appear that anything is happening, and I know that, this is coming out of a budget season too that's been tough, but shouldn't we consider some sort of a compression for those other, the subs, the teachers with bachelors, without a bachelor's, and with a certification? I mean, we're increasing the lower rate, so the substitute custodians, secretaries, all that stuff is coming closer to where these other folks that have a certification or a bachelor's degree are. And if we continue to struggle with subs and, COVID or monkeypox or whatever isn't obviously going away anytime soon, I don't think, do we want to think about making a change or consider making a change for those, the substitute teachers that have bachelor's or additional certifications? In other words, increasing them up at all?
We did earlier this year. So that would be something, I guess.
But those are current rates, though, on the bottom, right? I mean, as of the 722 ones.
Correct.
Yeah, so
I see what you're saying. You're saying that we're closing the gap.
Correct. Usually when you do a compression, meaning that you adjust both sides of it, and we're not really distinguishing between or rewarding positively, at least in a monetary sense, the difference that a bachelor's or a certification might get. And subs, I know, are a problem everywhere. But we're, based on what the state mandated us to do, we basically went up about 15% on the other side. Certainly we could talk about what that is, but if, my just basic math on compression, I would end up going to like 15, 17 and a quarter, and 20 and a quarter, just based on about 11-12%. So anyway, it's just food for thought.
Yeah, I think it's great conversation to continue to have to make sure that we're competitive and can attract people in. But as I stated earlier, when we bumped things up to try to attract, that didn't happen. So I think if we're going to consider to do that, I think something else that we need to be mindful of is how we're marketing, how we're getting this information out there. And even with that suggested bump, there are schools within the area, some that are through the Connecticut technical system, that pay a lot more. So, those are all things to consider. I think it's a great conversation.
Thanks.
Any other conversation on that? I do agree. I think that next year when we come back to this, we need to consider moving in this direction also. You know what I mean when I make that motion, right? Right? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? Oh, we didn't even make a motion. Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to accept the substitute wage increase. I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by Nicole, seconded by Dawn.
I thought John was going to do it.
I heard silence.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Okay, action item number 3, act on adoption of the flexibilities for educator evaluations.
So at your place, you also have something from the Commissioner of Education, Charlene Russell Tucker, that was dated on April 7th, 2022, regarding the extension of flexibilities in implementing Connecticut guidelines for educator evaluation for next year. Again, we'd like to take advantage of those flexibilities. They've provided us good growth opportunities still for our teachers, while we're relieving some of the stress that comes along with the teacher evaluation process.
I move that we act on the adoption of the flexibility for educator evaluations.
Second.
Motion to approve the adoption of the flexibilities for educator evaluations by Danelle, seconded by Nicole. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Thank you. Action item number 4, act on the bid for turf and landscape contract. This was also in your packet. Nicole, could you remind us of the 2 bids?
Right, so the first one is from Powers Outdoor Services in the amount of $64,992, and the second was Swanson Landscaping for $130,000. The subcommittee met tonight, and we would like to go with the Powers Outdoor Services.
Is there a motion?
Well, wouldn't that be from committee?
A recommendation from the committee.
So it's not a motion. Okay, I'll make a motion, we accept Powers.
Motion by Maureen, seconded by Brian. Any discussion?
I'd like to know how these go out to bid. How does the public find out about this? Do they have to look for it, or do we send out announcements that we're looking? There's hundreds of landscape companies, and it's hard to believe that only 2 came forward.
Kevin, could you speak to that?
Val, too.
Sure, I believe. Put it in the Norwich Bulletin, and we also have it on the school website.
How long?
It was on the website for over a week, I think a week and a half. It goes in the Norris Bulletin for 1 day by law. I think that changes July 1st, though.
Yeah, new legislation, you do not have to have the 1 day posting in the newspaper anymore.
So we could just have it on our website, and the only way you'd see it is if you're looking to see when we're looking for bids.
Moving forward, yes.
There's another option that we have where we can use the Connecticut CT source. It's the state bid site, so we could definitely start utilizing that site for notification of bids.
Is it free?
Approved vendors would get like a ping or a notification that something within their classification, landscaping, boiler, whatever it is up to bid.
Absolutely, I think we should do that. That's how teachers find jobs, administrators
Yeah,
find
Kevin was
jobs.
surprised this year as well, because you said in years past it was.
I actually had Chelsea give me another list of another 10, I thought we were gonna have at least 10 vendors come out.
Yeah.
I was shocked when only two showed up.
Yeah.
But if you only posted for 1 day,
But that's the same thing we did last time.
Yeah, that's how.
Because there's people that just look in the newspaper for these types of things all the time. That's all they do.
CT source, is that free though?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And it's a new thing with the state of Connecticut. They just, it was called BizNet before. Yeah, and now it's a CT source, so that could be another route we can take.
Great, thanks.
And this is just for a year, right, Kevin?
There's 1 year with the option for 2 years, 2 separate years to bring it back to go out again.
Okay, so we can bid on this again next year.
Right. Okay, I'm just going to say the same thing I say about every contract that goes out for bid. We need 3. I mean, 3 is, we have one that's way ridiculously high, didn't want the job, and we have nothing reliable to compare it to.
Kevin, I think the timing is involved in that too. I think.
Yeah, we went out to bid very late, obviously.
And my comments are not directed at our current landscape. That's not at all, everybody reports positive things from our current landscaping. It's not about that. It's about us doing our due diligence and making sure that we're...
Okay, so I did, and I didn't bring this up in the subcommittee, I did add to his contract a weekly maintenance of the amphitheater. We also added maintenance of the flower beds in district as needed. So there are 2 things we did add to his contract.
So to the new one, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Next year, can we start this earlier? Can we start in March?
Of course.
Yeah, maybe even earlier. I don't know how the landscapers plan their years.
Yeah.
But it's totally possible that they could have already been,
Right.
have their work for the season, right?
So maybe January.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We used to set them up, the previous role that I had, many times they were bidding on those. We would get snowplow bids in right around now.
Right, and then
we would,
landscaping in the winter, right?
basically right around Christmas,
Yeah,
first week of
flip-flops the
January.
season. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we were locking in for that following year. So, and you're absolutely right, 1 bid is not sufficient to make a reasonable decision.
Right.
And the current person didn't want to go to bid again?
He did. That's Powers.
Oh, that's Powers. I'm sorry, yeah. Okay.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the turf and landscape contract for Powers, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Action item number 5, act on the contract extension for preventative maintenance program for district HVAC equipment. This came from facilities.
So, and you can probably do 5 and 6 together. It's a 3% increase with an extension of 1 year on their contract.
Great, can you make a motion for us, Nicole?
Yep. So I'd like to act on the contract extension for preventative maintenance program for district HVAC equipment and the contract extension for full service maintenance program for district's heating and hot water equipment.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve from Nicole, seconded by John. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Action item number 7, act on the line striping and crack sealing at LES.
Do we have anything on this?
This was, we didn't talk about this at facilities.
This is on the summer project.
It's also at your place.
Sullivan
Paving.
Oh, that's right.
This just goes along with the 3-year cycle we're trying to be on of staying on top of the upkeep and maintenance of our lots. We did the high school this year, looking to do the elementary school next year. Following year, you can anticipate we'll be doing the middle school and so on.
Motion to act on the line striping and crack sealing at LES.
Second.
Motion to approve the line striping and crack sealing from Nicole, seconded by John.
It's on page 45 of our packet, if anybody's looking for it.
Yeah. Discussion?
Just one in the pipe.
Yep.
What's with the almost $1,000 credit card fee? Why are we?
We don't pay for that.
We don't.
Okay.
We don't have a discussion.
Good eyes, Brian.
Right.
So just one question.
Go ahead, Alexis.
Just want to make sure that I'm looking at the date of 5/13 and that they can withdraw the contract within 30 days. So if we approve this today, we're guaranteed to contact them and get, I mean, do we have to wait, they have to receive money and the date, 30 days, or are we good if we just tell them yes?
I'll submit the paperwork to the town once it's signed and approved, and I'll call them and let them know that it's in process. They've worked with us on many projects.
Okay, it's just, it's very clear on their contract for 30 days, that's all.
It'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Although it feels like we just did this at Lyman. We were waiting and waiting and waiting for it.
So if I could, just so you know, we understand on this contract, as opposed to Lyman, this is actually line striping, crack sealing, and actually sealing the entire lots.
Okay.
So it's a different evolution than we did here.
Go ahead, Andy.
And if I could, to Sarah's point, the reason why the crack sealing and line striping was delayed kind of at this level, and then it ended up having to be done in like 2 stages in fall, and then because of the weather in the spring. So I'm glad to see we're working to move on this now so that we can get this done and be in good shape to start the year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I want to ask the same question. Is this something that goes out to bid?
Good
Paving
question.
company?
Does this go out to bid, or how does Sullivan?
They're a DAS contractor, Department of Administrative Services, we don't have to go out to bid. They're already the lowest price.
Okay. Thank you, good question. Any further discussion? Bruce?
Is this money already part of our budget, or where does it come from?
Yeah, the capital. It'll come from next year's capital.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. That passes unanimously. Next item is action item number 8, act on the bid for a food service contract. Go ahead. Val.
Val's going to join us and give us an update.
Okay, so this year, the state required, our state nutrition program required us to go out to bid for a new food service management company. We started the process in November, December. It's a very tedious process. It takes a long time, and we had one bid from our current management company, which is Chartwell's, and I don't think anybody's too upset about that. But by now, per our normal scheduled calendar, we should have probably been already had a contract or working on a contract from SDE, and so the state has kind of put everything on hold and has given districts the option to just extend another year with their current company. However, I don't believe we need to do that because we were literally 95% through the bid process when this decision came out. So I'm a little nervous because I haven't heard anything from the state, and I don't know where the contracts stand with SDE. However, I thought tonight we should do our due diligence and approve the contract as normal, right? Follow the schedule. I'd hate to have to bring you guys back, on June 29th or something like that,
Yeah.
And we need a contract for July 1. We need a contractor or a vendor for July 1. So by approving this tonight, we can assure we've done our due diligence and we have a food service management company on July 1. So I did do some homework and I looked up the motion from July 2016 because that was the last time we did this in any sort of normal world. And so that motion read that the board had authorized the superintendent as the SFA, which is the School Food Authority, representative to enter into a state-approved food service contract with Compass Group USA through Chartwells, which is their business entity. So that was... So I suppose the board would give the authority to the superintendent to enter into the contract, and we can move on and have our contract ready for July 1.
Second. Val, can you just read that again?
Yeah.
And then Maureen can...
Maureen can mimic the motion? No.
She can, yeah.
I probably made it that time.
Yeah. I know, just read it again for all of us.
Sure. The board authorizes the superintendent as SFA representative to enter into the state-approved food service contract with Compass Group USA Incorporated through Chartwells.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Maureen, seconded by Nicole. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
Are we gonna go back to good food and not state junk that they're giving these poor kids?
Yeah, I have lots of questions about that myself.
Okay, so we don't have an answer for that yet?
Not right now, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So we're gonna, actually, we're gonna go back to, historically, there were student committees and parent committees that would meet every month and talk about the food and how they thought about it and things like that. So COVID kind of shut all that down. So we're gonna start getting more feedback from the kids, from the parents, as long as we can get participation.
Okay, so we don't know, like, if we're gonna be paying, like, right now, all the food is
Yes,
free?
we are going to be paying.
We are gonna be
We
paying?
will be
Yes.
paying,
Okay,
yes.
well,
Yeah, that's another item on here as well.
Good.
And so I think that food cost is affecting that. However, at least this school year, the federal reimbursement rates have allowed us to buy better quality food, and I've made sure that we do have some better quality food in the schools so that we take advantage of the position that we're in right now financially with the food service program.
Good, thank you.
Go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to say, I have the presentation that was put together from Chartwells. If you'd like to see some of the things that they put into their proposal, some of the things that they plan to do within our district, so you have a better understanding of what they're hoping it will look like in the near future, and, you know, ask questions about that or give suggestions anytime, I can let you see that.
Any questions? Any further discussion? No? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
She said she didn't have
As stated
funny
by Valerie. As
presentation.
moved by Valerie. That passes unanimously. Okay, action item number 9, act on the 2022-23 meal costs for students.
Sure. So as we've kind of touched on, the current reimbursement food service waiver we're on right now is going to be ending June 30th, which means all meals go back to being charged for, besides free and reduced. So there was a June 2020 meeting where there was an increase approved, and then right on July 1, 2020, the state had deemed free lunches. So we never able to execute that increase. Right now, we're awaiting guidance from the state. Our prices have to have a state mandated weighted average between the 3 schools. And right now, where we stand as of June 2020, which was the last guidance that we got from the state, was that the weighted average had to be $3.09. So it was $2.90 at the elementary school, $3.15 at the middle school, and $3.30 at Lyman. So My intentions tonight were to bring new pricing to the board for moving forward into the new 22-23 year. However, it's all contingent based on the state guidance. So we don't have a new weighted average, so we still remain at the 309. And we also don't have a pricing calculator from the state, and that's a requirement when pricing your food service company. The company has to use that calculator to follow state regulations, I suppose. So unfortunately, I don't have current prices to move into the 22-23 year, but the decision has been to go to those June 2020 prices, which was reflected as our last increase, and with the understanding that once this guidance comes in from the state, there'd be potential that we'll have this discussion again, and we may have to adjust prices mid-year.
So do we even need to make any motion if we've already decided that we've already voted on the 309?
Right, I don't know if we technically need a motion, because you guys did make a motion in June 2020. I definitely just wanted to discuss it and kind of put it out there to let families know, to let the community know that prices will be coming back and we will have to start charging for school lunches again. But they will, at this point, remain at that last dollar amount that we have until further notice from the state.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Thank you, Val. Keep us posted.
Sure.
Sarah?
Yes?
You can tell Lexi to go home, it's 9 o'clock.
I'm not going to tell her.
No, I mean, she probably thinks she has to stay through the whole meeting, she really doesn't. Oh, there you go. If you want to stay for the meeting, Lexi, you're more than welcome to stay, but if you, I mean, I'm looking at the clock,
So
and if you need
good.
to go to
So
bed. Okay, no problem.
Okay, action item number 10, act on the revision to the 22-23 special services rates.
Okay, so I believe it was the January 22 meeting, if I'm remembering correctly, where the sped rates were presented, and unfortunately, the incorrect hourly rate was on that form. So we've had some changes in our billing this year as Lyman moved to a block scheduling. So I was able to work with Dawn and even more so Fran to kind of revamp our whole billing structure to make sure that we're reflecting the proper hours that the students are being serviced in the new block schedule. Because now there's even days and odd days, and it's different than having, like an hour class for 5 days a week. So in that, we found, in looking at the rate sheet, that's when I saw, I suppose it was more of a clerical error. And so I just wanted to bring it back to the board and say that we'd like to keep the rate exactly how it was in historic years of the resource room, which was $65 an hour. I believe the rate that was approved earlier in the year was like $43.20, $43.20 an hour. But our billing hasn't changed. The price is $65 an hour. And so I think that the board may need to, I don't know if they need to rescind the previous motion or how that works, but we need to make sure that our 22-23 rates are appropriate for next year.
Can we just adopt the new rates in here?
Yes. Okay. Unless, what about people that we have charged?
So the billing's been corrected. September through December was corrected, and then May was reflective. The May billing, we call it, which is January through the rest of the year, June, was reflective of the correct information. And we've had over the phone, email conversations with all the districts to make sure that everybody understands that we're still charging the $65 an hour, and that the rate sheet that was presented was a clerical error.
Okay. Do you anticipate that causing?
Now that there's a business manager, I don't anticipate that to happen.
Okay. No, I mean, any additional issue with that lapse in timing?
No, because actually, unfortunately, it brought the rates down a little bit for us, and so the districts are kind of happy that they didn't have to spend as much. But we're also talking about next year with the districts, so I just want to make sure we have like all of our ducks in a row to make sure that this rate sheet goes out with it would be the December billing appropriately, and we're kind of back to status quo.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
Can I make a motion that we approve the revisions to 2022-2023 special services rates?
I'll second that.
Motion by John, seconded by Maureen. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. This is what we charge people that come to our district. This is not what we're paying.
Correct. Correct.
You got it. Andy?
And I would just like to thank Val for her transparency and for correcting the issue.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the revised, or the revision to the 22-23 special services rates, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Okay, action item number 11, 12, 13. I don't know if the board would like to do this in a group, but the rest are policy updates. We can do them one by one, or we can do them as a group, whatever your pleasure.
Well, my pleasure is to pass them all as one, unless somebody has that would be 11 through 17, because 18 is a deletion. So I would move that we accept 11 through 17. You've had the chance to look at them with the first reading, and I don't think any of them were major.
Motion to approve action items 11 through 17. Motion by Maureen, seconded by Danelle. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously.
And then the reason for deleting the number 18 is because the town charter changed the way that we fill vacancies from it. And so I move that we delete that number 9004.
Great. Motion by Maureen.
Second.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. Is there a motion on the floor?
Make a motion that we we enter into executive session for the purpose of reviewing the school custodian contract negotiations and inviting the superintendent.
And discussing the superintendent contract.
Oh, and for the purpose of discussing the superintendent's contract. And is he invited to that too? No, I didn't think so.
I'll second.
Motion by Maureen, seconded by John. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And that passes unanimously. We'll go into executive session at 9:12, and I'll be right back.
Oh, no, we adjourned our meeting. We adjourned the meeting at 9:12.
Student magazine that they created.
Motion to go into
Make sure you guys get one, okay?
Yeah, 9:12.